Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Me. In my series, The New World Order, Media and Press Releases. I've been doing it for every year. I collect documents, press releases, research material, and I have boxes for every year since 2005 and 6 and 7 and 8. As the years went by, I filled a whole box every year, sometimes 2 boxes. Press releases, research material, secret societies, research on religion, research on the secret societies, the different countries around the world, the goings-on, world wars, UFOs, aliens, you name it. I've been poking around and looking into it. So in 2019, I haven't done a video in my series, The New World Order, Media and Press Releases, 2019. This will be the first one. And the topic's going to be the global world order. A little discussion, and in media and press releases, that includes websites I go to and print out material. So it can be press releases, it can be research PDF documents, websites, videos, newspapers, everything else except for my video series on Freemasonry and Satanism. And I have another one called Messages from Rick Miracle. And other series was my live streaming videos. I did that for 2 months until YouTube cut me off. I think it's live now. I need to try to do another live streaming event. And then my sky spraying and videos where I take pictures or videos of them dumping stuff in the sky. And I've included in that lately microwave transmitters, directed energy weapons, all kinds of geoengineering or some attack on humanity, on our resources, our environment. We're under attack, and they want to blame it on human-caused CO2, carbon dioxide, global warming or global cooling, and people can't be convinced of that, so they say it's climate change. So what is the truth? So I was looking at a particular website after watching a video, and the website was called resolvingreality.com. Resolvingreality.com, which is a independent Irish media platform. And the speaker, the moderator, the interviewer, the person's website, I couldn't find a name. So I apologize if anybody knows who is the owner of this, or maybe there's a group of people. But I did watch a couple of the videos from resolvingreality.com. And there was one speaker, but I couldn't find his name, but I saw some of the people he interviewed. So I don't know who wrote this particular article. The December 14th, 2018, the UN Migration Pact protest is protested by globalist mob outside Leicester House. So united against racism, united against fascist. So the people, whoever wants to bring about this world revolution, are trying to convince we the people all over the world to be seriously anti-racist. And generally speaking, I think we are. But you have to create a racist to get the anti-racist. So in other words, you have to get people to hate something and call that racism. Maybe that doesn't make sense. For example, there are a lot of social conditioning and propaganda out there, and a lot of videos saying that Christianity was created to control people. So people who now continue to be Christians and don't go along with the pansexual, homosexual, transgender program, New Age material, are called racist or haters, etc. And if you oppose having immigrants brought up from Central, South America into the United States, you are a racist. If you're German and you don't want all the people from the Middle East who are being disposed of, pushed out of the Middle East, if you're German and you don't like that, you're a racist. And the same thing with Britain. You're a racist. France, you're a racist. And somebody's trying to create a multicultural world. Some of this stuff sounds good on the surface, but is it good? So I thought I'd go over this and document from resolvingreality.com. You can go take a look at the website. I did. And I found this one document, and I think reading it and discussing the issues might show us something. So this was Thursday, the 6th of December, 2018, so 2 months ago. There was a protest in Dublin. So you think this stuff is just happening in the U.S., or if you're in Germany, or Switzerland, wherever you are. Apparently, they're everywhere. There was a protest in Dublin outside the Leicester House on Thursday, the 6th, December 2018. What's special about this particular protest? I hear you say. Because it isn't usual, and there are protests happening in Ireland's capital all the time nowadays. And we see this in the United States, whether it's the White Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, women's marches, gay pride parades, etc. Somebody is organizing all that. And you can tell by the signs they carry that are expensive, that come up out of nowhere. If you ever go have a sign made, you know it takes time. And it's expensive. So where do those crowds of people get all those signs? And if you go look on the internet, there are websites organizing these protests and marches, places to meet, travel plans, all that stuff. It's organized. Anyways, in this document, so there's all kinds of protests in Ireland, in Dublin. And apparently, this is the social justice warrior era, after all. So is this the social justice warrior era? This particular protest featured two groups, an anti-globalist pro-Irish nationalist group on the one side and a bunch of pro-globalist anti-Irish NPC robots on the other. I'm not quite sure. NPC, something to do with the globalist. What was the protest over? The protest was over some very dangerous and scary developments in international politics recently that Irish people should be very concerned about. The United Nations Global Compact on Safe, Orderly Migration and the UN Refugee Pact. So the United Nations Global Compact on Safe, Orderly Migration. So are there forces operating out of the United Nations? And who controls the United Nations? Apparently it's part of the secret societies. And why would they have an orderly migration and the United Nations Refugee Pact? It begs to ask a lot of questions. Who are these refugees? And apparently I'm finding out all over the world this is happening. In Australia, the out islands, Philippines and places like that, they're bringing people into Australia. Of course, in Germany and Switzerland, all over Europe, they're bringing them up from the Middle East and Africa. In the United States, in the middle of the night, planes that used to carry parcels, packages, have been outfitted with seats and are bringing in all kinds of immigrants from the Middle East. And Central and South America, we all hear about President Donald Trump's wall. So what is really happening here? All right, continuing on. For those of you who don't know, what these are. The United Nations Global Compact on Safe, Orderly Migration and the United Nations Refugee Pact. So my question is, who are these refugees? Why are they being pushed out of the Middle East and Africa and into Europe, the United States, etc., and other countries around the world, I believe. So for those of you who don't know who these are, this author says, I shall summarize. They are agreements created to increase and facilitate mass migration into the countries that participate in these agreements. So definitely countries that are controlled by secret societies sign these agreements with the secret society controlled United Nations. And the secret societies are into this Kabbalistic type religion. So if you look at the meditation room in the United Nations and the logos, along with a lot of other corporations and secret societies, you will see the Kabbalistic aspects of all of that stuff, if you didn't know. That's how you can tell. The United Nations, unsurprisingly, is trying to rope in as many countries as possible, i.e., they call it a global world order. And they want to rope in as many countries as they can. And they pretty much have. And they've assassinated and executed numerous presidents, czars, kings throughout history. Recent history, the past few hundred years. We'll talk about that. To put it bluntly, they are trying to get countries to destroy themselves. So they want to destroy our cultures. Our cultures, apparently, are our strength. They want to dilute our religious aspects, our family values, everything that we believe, our patriotism, nationalism, anything, familyism. To put it bluntly, they are trying to get countries to destroy themselves by having open borders and bringing in massive amounts of people from other parts of the world. We've all seen it. It's in the news. Did you know why? Obviously, there won't be a public referendum on this idea. Of course not. To say that would be political elites overplaying their hand, would be an understatement. So they can't come outright and say what they want to do. Although, a couple leaders have, and I have a few clips I want to show. The background for all this, for those of you who aren't aware or are in denial about this, is that Europe is falling apart due to the influx of migrants, who are mostly economic migrants, not refugees from war-torn areas. And on this particular article, like articles that I read, press releases I read, books I read, I don't believe everything. I don't support everything. So I have some disagreements with some of the things in this article. But my videos are a conversation. I toss around my ideas. You have your thoughts. You read documents. You read books. You watch videos. You see what's going on in the nightly news. You see what's going on with your own family, the people in the city parks and the city streets, the situation with drugs and so much more. So I disagree, i.e. in the Middle East and plans for a greater Israel. So apparently there are plans for a greater Israel. I've showed the maps. I'll show them again. And they are depopulating the Middle East. They have overthrown many countries since 9/11. And before that, and before they did the Middle East, they were doing Europe and the United States, bringing us communist and other social conditioning to destroy our way of life, Christianity, or family values, the way we all grew up. So when this author says they're mostly economic migrants, not refugees from war-torn areas, I don't know why he wrote that, but I do know those wars, the Middle East, 9/11, World War I, World War II, were all intentional. And this is about war-torn areas. Basically, they want those people gone. They don't care how they get rid of them. So it seems. And they use a lot of propaganda. We've all seen it. They have these people from different countries, the Global Compact Migration. See how they're doing the little heart-shaped sign? And look at the empathy, the pictures they use in these refugees and migrants, whether it's in Europe or in Texas or United States. We've all seen it. If it's a hard sell, go all out with your marketing. You see the pictures and the propaganda, it's everywhere, including in the transgender, homosexual agenda, and so much more. The so-called liberal governments and the other organizations involved in destroying their target countries. So they are destroying target countries. That's why they have the economic problem. So it is a war-torn situation, even in this author's following paragraph. They use emotional manipulation tactics to convince people that accepting mass migration is the right thing to do morally. And again, you know, if you have an economic situation in your country, do you continue to overburden your country with more economic expenses? If your household, if you're overspending and you're not making enough to pay the bills, don't you cut back a little bit and try to get it under control? You don't exacerbate the problem. In the first photo, note the visually prominent love message, implying that supporting mass migration is the loving, humane, compassionate thing to do. In the second, downward angle shot is used to attempt to evoke feelings of empathy on the subject, as they are a victim of some kind. Keeping in mind, this sort of stuff comes from the elitist, sociopathic types who wouldn't know a good person. So there are people, intelligent people, trained in this, communist ideas, Marxist ideas, global world order elites. They're trained. They know how to use psychology. So they wouldn't know a good person if one was right in their face. They don't feel empathy or true compassion themselves. Of course not. Look at all the bombing and killing people in the Middle East and other countries all over the world in the past 100, 200 years. But they know how to invoke those feelings in others using pictures and other stimuli, words, video, music, etc. And of course the lyrics and a lot of songs are supportive of this. What's that one song? We are family. So much for my singing, but you get it. The reason why tactics like this are used and are effective is because some people are naive enough to fall for the manipulation. The Irish government, media, education system, and the European Union itself, of course, are trying to gaslight or con the Irish people into thinking that if they don't go along with the mass migration, they are racist. And this is a common technique used everywhere in the Western world today. So I made a little clip about the French president and what he said. Take a look at this.
Quel est l'objectif? Ça va faire parler. Mais l'objectif, c'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Ce n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation, c'est un impératif. On ne peut pas faire autrement, au risque de nous trouver confrontés à des problèmes considérables. Nous devons changer, alors nous allons changer. On va changer partout en même temps, dans l'entreprise, dans les administrations, à l'éducation, dans les partis politiques. Et on va se mettre des obligations de résultat. Si ce volontarisme républicain ne fonctionnait pas, il faudra alors que la République passe à des méthodes plus contraignantes encore.
Alors, mes chers amis d'Arabie Saoudite, il ne s'agit pas de chercher à imposer un modèle unique de civilisation. Ce serait répéter une fois de plus l'erreur tragique qui, dans le passé, a provoqué tant de malheurs. Ce serait nier les identités. Ce serait susciter non la paix et la fraternité, mais la violence. Car rien n'est plus dangereux qu'une identité blessée, qu'une identité humiliée. Une identité humiliée, c'est une identité radicalisée.
C'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Le défi du métissage, la France l'a toujours connu. Et en relevant le défi du métissage, la France est fidèle à son histoire.
So they're telling us what they're doing. And this is happening all over the world. It's intentional. Anyways, there's useful idiots on the left. What a shocker. People are buying this deception, this propaganda, this social conditioning. The leftist mob at the protest outside the gate of Leicester House were shouting words like racist, scum, Nazis at the anti-United Nations protesters. Which is interesting, coming from a bunch of George Soros foot soldiers, Count Kondahav, Karlig, and Karl Marx fans, none of whom are in the position to criticize other human beings, never mind their fellow countrymen. And I'm here to tell you now, it goes back and forth. They use the Democrats, the leftists, and then they demonize them. Then they use the conservative Republicans. Then they demonize them. We've seen this yo-yo effect with the political parties. That's all intentional too. The chants included Nazi scum off our streets. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. One race, human race, and a people united will never be defeated. This is Irish people, many of them shouting this. And other Irish people, while things are more messed up than ever. So you have the Irish people siding with the UN, bringing in all kinds of immigrants, diluting the culture of that country. They know not what they do. They get involved in these organizations at school and with local groups, and the same thing they do in the USA. Where do you think those people come from? From the women's marches and the Black Pride Parade marches and the white supremacy marches and the gay pride parades. It's all organized, and it's meant to destroy our society. Now, aside from the obvious corniness and yuppie style to these abusive and virtual signaling phrases, They also make no sense when you break them down. So if you're having economic troubles in your country and you don't have enough jobs for your people, why would you be bringing in more people? And the bigger question is, what was wrong with them living in their own country, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all those other Middle East countries, Libya? Why are they deporting all those people? Could it be for a greater Israel? I've showed the maps, the pictures. So you got these socialists, these secret societies. This was also a socialist mob, and some members of the People Before Profit party present. So they got these people who organized this called People Before Profit party present. Ironically, it's the secret society elites, the communists, and they're wealthy elitists themselves, who come up with these names of these organizations. There is a certain amount of irony here by this group accusing others of being Nazi. Hitler's National Social German Workers' Party were socialists too. So this mob have more in common with the Nazis than they realize. They were also shouting fascist. Again, ironic because of their control freak nature and their inability to let others have protest while they protest all the time, citing their right to protest. They're very hypocritical. And I have noticed this when I talk to people from the Democratic Party, people who are so-called liberals. Don't disagree with them. They'll go off in a tantrum and scream at you. And to be fair, the same thing with the Republicans. Don't disagree with them. They'll go off in a tangent and start screaming at you. I lost friends on both sides of the aisle because I could tell they were being manipulated for extreme left and extreme right, and they were hating each other. They follow the mind control programming to the T. This article says, they were also shouting fascist. Again, ironic because of their control freak nature and their inability to let others have protest, while they protest all the time, citing their right to protest. But also very childish, spoiled even. I want my way, and if I don't get it, I'm going to have a tantrum. This connects with the fact that many of the university graduates and social minions we see active nowadays in Ireland are from deprivileged backgrounds. Indeed, they are brats everywhere, not just in these demographics, but on the psychological level, the connection is there. Some of them were even giving out anti-racist leaflets to the anti-United Nations PAC protesters. So they're calling the people who want Ireland first. Nationalism is their preference. They want to be patriotic to their country. They're handing out anti-racist leaflets to them. This is the typical insult the treacherous anti-nationalist leftist groups use against their opponents. It also shows their idiocy, as this has nothing to do with racism. This is about Irish people doing what's best for Ireland. Other countries and their peoples must decide their own fate. What just seems right now, we can't decide our own fate. There are outside forces working to undermine our reality, our society, our country. As for the rest of the individuals involved in the pro-globalist mob, many of these idiots can be seen at the housing protest in Dublin and are too dumb to realize what they are doing. So they have a housing problem in Dublin. Many of these people at the protest have been at those housing protests. And these are the same people supporting bringing in immigrants when they don't have enough housing for their own. How dumb is that? They are too dumb to realize what they're doing. They're supporting an agenda to import massive amounts of foreigners who will need to be housed and supported financially, while they put an unacceptable amount of extra pressure on Irish services, including medical, education, policing, amongst other things. Consider the fact that we are in the middle of housing and a homelessness crisis. Even here in the United States, homelessness is off the charts right now. And they're importing all these migrants from the Middle East and other parts of the world. It seems kind of bizarre. And what is wrong with Mexicans staying in Mexico? And Guatemala staying in Guatemala, and etc. They want those people depopulated from those areas. Why are they herding them into the United States cities and apparently Ireland and other cities in Germany and destroying their cultures? There is a plan. You have to weaken all of our cultures, all of our states and our countries. Who, you might ask? So the homelessness crisis, importing large numbers of foreigners is really a bad idea, especially if these migrants are coming from a very different culture and religious background. I say it's a depopulation of certain areas. Listen to what the president of Germany has to say.
Chancellor Angela Merkel says newcomers to Germany must learn the country's values and customs, but the Germans can also learn from them. More than 1 million asylum seekers have arrived in the past 2 years, and Germany's been working hard on integration. Speaking in her weekly podcast on Saturday, in a question and answer forum with a Syrian journalist who arrived as a refugee in 2015, Merkel emphasized migrants' needs to respect Germany's values of tolerance, openness, freedom of religion, and freedom of expression, and also be a little curious about our way of life.
Continuing on from this document on the website resolvingreality.com. As we can see from what's happening elsewhere in Europe, the migrant influx is approaching catastrophic levels. It will destroy the member states in many ways, including financially. We shouldn't be surprised that many leftist socialists don't understand this particular point, though, as socialism isn't compatible with economics, unless you want to run your country into the ground. And I'm here to say it now. They are trying to run our countries into the ground. They need to weaken everybody, take away the wealth of the people, destroy the middle class, disarm we the people. Overall, this is what happens when you get over-emotional about big issues like migration. The liberal governments of many Western countries today and the section of the general public who support them are suffering from a type of pathological altruism. It's just a deception. Those people never had to move from where they were. They're destroying those countries. They were living healthier where they were than where they're going. And a lot of them are just gone to the grave, trying to save others at the expense of the self. How crazy is that? They are ideological programmed, morally contaminated people who believe they are humanitarians. Ireland has been infected with progressivism for quite a while now, and its influence is now present in all areas of Irish society, including government, media, corporate, financial, and academia. Progressivism. I believe it's Satanism. The satanic symbols are everywhere, even in art galleries, Emmys, Grammys, Super Bowl halftime shows, bridge openings. Students are particularly prone to the social political psychopathology, as they attend their respective socialist indoctrination camps. They control our colleges, the agenda, with their naive little minds, and absorb the latest cultural Marxist crap on offer. Then they become revolutionaries, sprouting things like, we need to help the poor people. We need to have more compassion to stop racism. We need to promote diversity. And we need to have more compassion and stop racism, guys. We need to promote diversity and multiculturalism. You hear all this stuff. It's all intentional. It's part of the plan. That's how they're going to bring us the global world order. And it won't be good when they take over. We need to help the cause and work for the Parshe. Simply put, these are a bunch of yahheads who don't give a crap about the Irish people, Irish culture, or Ireland itself. Just reading from this document on this website. At the protest outside Leicester House, you can give the anti-Irish pro-globalist crowd some credit. They have the confidence to get out there on the streets and make noise and chant. But that's all we can really give them. Being confident can be good, but being confident doesn't mean you are doing the right thing. You can't be confident without being intelligent or having a conscience. The leftist mob did their well-polished routine of repeating their chants with good rhythm, coordination, and volume. And you might say this is an indication of the intelligence, right? Not really. Some animals, and even retarded children, can still manage to scrape up a few words together. So no, being able to use basic communication in unison and otherwise is not an indication of a mature intelligence. These anti-protesters are not intelligent. They were like droning parrots or football fans shouting at the other team's fans. So they're going to take another look at President or the leader of Germany, Merkel's, one of her speeches.
Angela Merkel has staunchly defended her policy towards migrants in a speech to the Bundestag. The German Chancellor said the government had taken steps to help local authorities pay for refugees, passed an integration law, boosted security, and accelerated repatriations of migrants who are denied asylum.
Die Situation heute ist ein Vielfaches besser als vor einem.
The situation today is much better for everyone than it was a year ago, but there's still a lot that needs to be done. One big problem is repatriation and enforcing the departure of those people who are not allowed to stay here. And citizens rightly expect from us that we help those that need help, but that we tell those who have no right of residence that they have to leave Germany.
Ihr müsst unser Land wieder verlassen.
The Chancellor acknowledged the challenge posed by the hard-right Alternative for Germany party, which pushed her Christian Democrats into third place in a regional vote last weekend. The AfD looks set to win seats in the national parliament next year. Its success comes amid fears about the influx of around 1 million migrants to Germany last year. Merkel said politicians must take people's worries seriously, but warned against slogans and simple solutions.
So there's an obvious indication this is all planned. Also, there's even more irony and hypocrisy with these so-called progressive types when they abuse religious adherents for their chanting or praying, while they themselves do the same thing like fanatics under mind control. They also accuse religious organizations of being control freak, totalitarians, of telling people how to think and act, while they themselves are fanatical and won't allow others to have an opinion different from theirs. At the same time, if you disagree with them or criticize anything they do, they claim that they are under attack and they are oppressed victims all of a sudden. And they can do whatever they see fit to take revenge. In addition, they claim to be moral people and stand up for all the victims, including themselves. I was watching a video by David Icke today, and apparently he was 4 hours away from getting on a plane from Los Angeles to Australia, and he had set these plans in place months ago, last fall, and had his visa, his permit to go to Australia. He's from Britain. But 4 hours before he was leaving LA, he got a notice that his visa was revoked. Watch this video.
So they then start putting out all this misinformation, character assassination. It's ironic, isn't it? The number of times you come across organisations that call themselves anti-defamation, and their modus operandi is to go around defaming everyone. And we have anti-hate groups that go around, and their modus operandi is seeking to get the public to hate their targets. I mean, it's just an Orwellian inversion. So they're campaigning for me to not be allowed into Australia. This anti-defamation mob were claiming that I'm a Holocaust denier. I'm not. Absolutely unspeakable things happened to Jewish people in Nazi Germany, and I don't want Nazis to, and that Nazi mentality, to take the bloody world over, so we see that kind of tyranny again. But this is the irony. My God, there are so many. What do tyrannies like Nazis do? And like Stalinist Russia? What's the first thing they do when they get any power? They silence any opposition. They silence any questioning of what they want the public to believe. They ban their public meetings. They burn their books. This is what Nazis do. This is what Stalinists do, and other tyrannies. What do the people who claim to be anti-Nazi and anti-hate, what do they do in relation to people like me? They want to ban my public meetings and stop my information circulating. Exactly the modus operandi of Nazis and Stalinists. And
a lot of people are noticing, including me, restrictions on my videos, and even the deletion of one video, World Revolution, by a well-known author, Nestor Webster, published in 1921. And that video had actually been on my website for years. But things are changing, as David Icke just told us. So back to this document. With these groups, one of the reasons they do it is because they want to be part of something. They want to feel that they belong. So these young people that get roped into this at the universities and belong to these other groups and do what they're told, think they're doing something good. And it satisfies their limited understanding of justice and morality. They think they're doing the right thing, but unfortunately, as all of these liberal protest groups illustrate quite well, if you just have emotions and not enough logic, and you are getting involved in activism for emotional reasons, without any real intelligence behind you, you just add to the chaos. Or at the very least, you will be ineffective in making any significant positive changes to society. So it's in my opinion, with the Cold War, all those millions and billions spent on weapons because Russia might nuke us, or China, all part of this agenda to bring us a global world order. Back to the document. So these are not proper revolutionaries. Many of them are nihilist in their hearts. They don't believe in anything. And, that went way back to when they were in school. They took over the education system years ago. So they're nihilist at hearts. They don't have any faith. Religion's been all but destroyed, discredited with all that stuff on TV. Priests fooling around with children, etc. Ministers, preachers stealing and all of that. And it seems to me it was intentional. And back during the 1920s when they had communist hearings, they said they were going to do that. Some are delusional and think that they are helping create a workers' utopia of some kind. Others are mentally clumsy. So all these revolutions, even the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, everywhere all over the world, Ukraine, Egypt, it never gets better for the people. The people get roped in, they go along, but it never gets better. It gets worse. Even in the United States since 9/11, and we were deceived. Slowly, we're going downhill. Whatever it is, all they will do is destroy things and make them worse. Their actions will only cause more problems than they solve. unless they just hate their own kind and hate their own nationality. Destroying everything that once existed in this place is their goal. Are these pro-globalist Irish protesters self-hating Irish? Should we call them that? If you love other kinds more than your own kind, aren't you a racist or a bigot? So to hate your own kind would be kind of terrible. That's not equality. So who lives here belongs here. Here's some of the protesters. So the people get involved, protesting against racism because people don't want all the immigrants to move into Ireland, against fascists. There's a lot of labels being thrown around in the political sphere. I'm central left, I'm liberal, etc. But whatever happened to just being dumb, stupid? The idea of bringing massive amounts of people into the country is a dumb idea. And anyone who defends it is a fool, according to this author. Either they are too emotional, or they've been indoctrinated. They don't understand about culture and the difference between cultures, or maybe they have been brainwashed in university, or they know what they're doing and that it's going to create chaos, and they just don't care. I do believe that mind control propaganda is off the charts. And I do know a little bit about psychology. You can overload the brain with too many confusing and complex ideas. It does destabilize people. And these people who have been studying this stuff know it very well. On that point, is creating chaos something that socialist Trotsky or Lenin fans would have been keen to do to achieve the misguided goals? Of course it is. They think a period of chaos will allow them to bring in some sort of improved society. So they want to create a better society, a better place for the working class people, a workers' utopia. Even it was once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result. Many of the fake revolutionaries we see today, along with their neo-Marxist socialistic ideologies, are just that, insane. Their revolutionary ideas have never worked, and they never will. And I put down here a note of my own. For all the situations I can think about, it never got better for anybody. Even World War I didn't do the job. They had to have World War II. Do you know why? Because the Zionist Jewish folks didn't get their land in Palestine. And during that 20-year period between World War I and World War II, the banksters who controlled all the money in all the countries all over the world, including the United States, remember, they took over the USA money supply December 21st, 1913, 6 months before World War I started. And they had already controlled the money supplies in other countries. And because Britain reneged on the Balfour Plan, they withdrew funds from the banking systems all over the world, created the Great Depression. They can punish the world's leaders, and the world's leaders don't tell the people who's doing it or why. They're protected. Why are they protected? Because they belong to secret societies. And I have a clip I want to play that I looked at some pictures on a Yahoo image site. Take a look at this. Hello, Rick Miracle here. I've been doing my research since 2005, trying to find out WTH. What the heck is going on? And it seems we have a lot of secret societies controlling our world, controlling the government, controlling the banking system, controlling foreign relations with other countries, controlling everything, controlling education, controlling the medical establishment, controlling natural resources, oil, mines, agriculture, huge corporations. So if you go on Yahoo image site, you'll find these pictures and you'll find these links that you can click. Like this one, this picture. And when you click the link, it'll take you to a website that'll share all the details. Secret societies, Freemasonry and Illuminati, good or evil. You can see all the symbols. So if you go back, oops, there you go. So you can look at these pictures and click the links, see the skull and bones, all the symbols for all the corporations, the all-seeing eye, Bilderberger, skull and bones, picture of Earth, looks like a flat Earth here, a crown. So I've been studying these things. Who are these secret societies? It does seem kind of sinister. Seems they're behind the pursuit of a global world order and in league with the Zionist movement, the State of Israel, the political PACs which control our country. Look at all the skulls on these people's outfit. Does that give you a comfortable feeling? And the different symbols. Here they have some hoods. This is a YouTube video. 10 secret societies that run the world. Go watch that video. Go on Yahoo image site and just type in secret societies. And you can find these pictures throughout the ages. Look at this. Henry Kissinger, SWAT sticker right here with the six-pointed star. The Earth in this hand, the Bohemian Grove. A lot of people have done their homework. The Owl Moloch, the Jesuits. Secret societies. So if you're wondering who is behind all of what's happening in our world, apparently the secret societies are into Satanism, Luciferianism, Baal, B-A-A-L, mentioned in the Bible, Moloch, mentioned in the Bible. They're everywhere. People think this is cool. People get tattoos. Is this cool to you? Freemasons, checkered floor. So here's some appropriate masks for these characters. Secret societies, their mysteries revealed. So I've been making a lot of book reviews in my Freemasonry and Satanism series. Thule Society, 1919. So we can say that Germany, Hitler and his gang were into the secret societies. Do you think there's a difference between the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, the Kabbalistic Zionist Jewish folks, Thule Society, Vril Society, and all these other secret societies, even the Church of Satan, the Synagogue of Satan, and even the website, joyofsatan.com. People are buying into this. Joy of Satan, Synagogue of Satan, the all-seeing eye. Top 6 most elite secret societies. Again, go on the Yahoo image site, put in secret societies, and spend a day. Knowledge is power on this one. George Washington, the 5-pointed star up above here with the circle, the G, Gnostics. A lot of symbols here. The columns right here, Bose and Joachim in front of King Solomon's temple. Very, very secret societies. The Pyramid, the Eye. Secret societies in the Hermetic Code. The Kabbalah, the Rosicrucian, the Masonic and esoteric transmission in the arts. So anybody who doesn't want to see this as a threat to humanity, a clear and present danger, anybody who doesn't see that, it's because they don't want to see it. They don't want to take responsibility for being a human. They want to allow child trafficking. They want to allow wars and killing. But soon, it seems, very soon, this is going to come home to roost here in the United States of America. Secret societies of the American elite, from the Knights Templar to Skull and Bones. All these books you can buy, all these symbols everywhere. The sinister forces behind conquest and revolution. So who do you think brought us World War I, World War II, 9/11, Russian Revolution? They killed 100 million people in Russia. French Revolution, British Revolution, the execution of the King of Britain, the execution of the King of France, the execution of the President of the United States, twice, probably more, but Abraham Lincoln and John Kennedy. But there were other presidents that were assassinated or attempted assassinations. So it seems like there's only one evil entity on this planet. Freemasons, Illuminati, Rosicrucians, and the decoding of the Great Seal. You can go get these books. Secret societies, books on DVD. How evil is this? Secret societies. Symbols are everywhere. But people are not awake. Look at these guys. Ku Klux Klan, secret societies, the most dangerous secret societies in the world. 9 of them on this picture. If you click the link, it says India Times. I'll click it here and see where we go. Pretty ominous if you think about it. So this is in the India Times. All these websites with all this information. 9 of the most dangerous secret societies in the world. There's something about cults and secret societies around the world that pulls us towards them, isn't there? Even if we're not keen on joining them, they definitely got us curious enough to spend some time reading about them. Here are some of the most talked about secret societies that have been around the world. Skull and Bones, George Bush. Thule Society, Hitler. Bilderberger Group, all the elites, meeting in secret, planning our future. Depopulation, globalization, Freemasonry. 9 angels, the Order of 9 Angels. That looks kind of sinister there. The assassins, get in the way, share too much, become too popular, probably take you out. Ku Klux Klans. Illuminati. People don't believe this stuff. Ashoka, 9 unknown men. So there's plenty of information, as you can see here. There's all kinds of them. York Rite, Scottish Rite, different levels. All the people who control our world. The Order, the Rockefellers, Council of Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers, Illuminati, Rothschilds. They brought us the State of Israel. Happy holidays from the Order of the Druids. Secret Society set. Go get your tattoo for a secret society. Who runs the world? Political Zionism? That would be Israel today, and the banksters, controlling much of the world, trying to destroy nationalism and promote globalism, Bilderbergers, Business Advisory Council, Council on Foreign Relations, United Nations Banking Complex, Federal Reserve System, and other banks. Yeah, they took over the United States money supply in 1913, 6 months before they started World War I, with their puppet president, Woodrow Wilson. Number 7, United Nations. Number 8, Common Market and Atlantic Union. Number 9, CETO, NATO, and other front alliances. Number 10, tax-free foundations. Income and estate taxes. Number 12, communism, socialism, and the allied isms, the most visible aspect of the apparatus. And at the base would be the secret societies. It is a mystery religion, ancient mystery religion, it says on this picture. Kabbalism, Gnosticism, Knights Templar, Rosicrucian, Rome, Freemasonry, Illuminati. Kabbalism's close to the top, which apparently is the religion of many Jewish people, not all Jewish people. Babylon, Egypt, Greece, all forms of pantheism, witchcraft, sorcery, divination, spiritualism, most occult practices, Eastern religion, Hinduism, Buddhism on the right-hand side there, New Age movement right on the bottom here. Don't be fooled. Marxism, American, European, secret political societies, international banking elite, World Congress of Churches. They've taken over everything. Illuminati, probably the most famous secret society. This was a group based on the principle of enlightenment. Oh my. And the sworn enemy of the church. Supposedly all of the Illuminati were persecuted and executed. But we all know the truth. They're still here. So it's Russian Zionist, Yiddish Jews who came over here after World War I. The Great Depression caused all over the world between World War I and World War II. And then Germany with the Thule Society, Vril Society, and the German secret societies, the ancient superweapons from Nazis. Subversive Movements. This is a book I've made videos on and I'm re-releasing by Nestor Webster. Interestingly enough, Nestor Webster wrote a book in 1921, World Revolution, and YouTube took that video down. So I'll have to make another video in that Freemasonry and Satanism series and see if they take the second one down. I don't know what might be in the first one that would have caused them to delete it and put a strike on my account. And of course, 3 strikes, you're out. They just turn your whole channel off. Even if it has 7 or 8 years or 9 years worth of material on it, like my website. So who are these people with the hoods, graduating from colleges and fraternities, controlling our world? Cecil John Rhodes, plan for a new world order. Do people believe? Or are people still in denial? There's all these charts, all these pictures, all these links you can click, like this fringetruth.com I just clicked when I looked at this picture. The symbols are everywhere. Secret societies are organizations that conceal their internal affairs and function from non-members. However, the society may or may not attempt to conceal their existence. Such societies frequently consist of 2 internal branches. One seeks knowledge and power to control others. The other seeks to safeguard secret knowledge from misuse. Most groups seek isolation from the public to protect themselves from persecution and or gain an advantage to control the public. Oh my. Back to the image search. So you too can get on your computer. Type in Yahoo Images and you'll get to the images.search.yahoo.com you can see above. And you'll see all these pictures and all these links. And you can become educated about the folks who are planning to destroy our world as we know it and bring us seemingly, according to my research, a depopulation event, possibly World War III, Armageddon, global Holocaust. Again, it's secret societies, ancient Babylon, Middle Eastern mystery religion, witchcraft, spiritualism, shamanism, divination, Knights Templar, Gnosticism, Kabbalism, the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Royal Order of the Garter, the Knights of Malta, Rosicrucians, Jesuits, Society of Jesus, Modern Freemasonry, Illuminati, Skull and Bones, Theosophical Society. A lot of smart people have done some homework. So I'm learning from them. This has got the serpent eating its tail, so it is a serpent religion. Satan is known as a serpent, the synagogue of Satan. The crown on the serpent, the two columns there that sit in front of King Solomon's temple. And recently, President Donald Trump said that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Israel. Other countries all over the world are following, so it seems. And here's a Freemason going through the initiation ritual, and above his head is the six-pointed star on the Israeli flag. So what's it going to take for people to wake up? This one is an interesting picture. Got one lady here coming out of a lamp or something. Reminds me of Aladdin's lamp. The columns in front of King Solomon's temple, the protectors. The eye, from darkness to light. So apparently they do everything backwards. So really it's from light to darkness is where they want to take us. Is this light or is this darkness? How many people do you see like this out there in the city streets and parks these days? Freaks everywhere. Freaks everywhere. Catalog of Secret Society Rituals. Man, I got to get that book. Urza Cook. Anyways, I do my investigation trying to find out WTH. What the heck is going on? Big corporations. So more and more the governments are being set aside and corporations are taking over the role of government. The problem is they're unelected officials and they're in it for the profit. You know, probably every city in the United States is incorporated for profit. Did you know that? So you're probably one of the properties of the corporation, your taxes, your job, and they want to make a profit. And if they don't, they'll just jack up the prices and charge you more taxes, and anybody who gets in the way will be got out of the way. Stolen from the Freemasons by the big corporations. The satanic symbolism. Does anybody doubt that this exists? The world's most dangerous. Look at all these books. Secret Society 1. We must take the secret to the grave. Problem with dying with a secret is that my secret may die with you. But you are not the only one who knows it. But what if I don't know? If I'm the last one alive who knows it? You should always assume you're the last person who knows it. Then it would be stupid to die trying to protect it. Somebody's cartoon here. Look at this six-pointed star. The Secret Societies, the Secret Seekers Society, and the Beast of Baldenborough. Oh my. Oh my. They got the CIA and the FBI and all these intelligence agencies all over the world. What don't you know that you probably should know? And it's so easy to get the information, for now anyways. Go on Yahoo and put in Yahoo Images, as you can see above here. Put in secret societies, click these pictures, click the picture to click the link, and learn and wake up. Because apparently the clock is ticking and time is running out. Rick Miracle reporting. So here's some pictures here on this press release, or this essay on this website. People power. Solidarity, struggle, Socialist Party, socialism. 10,000 homeless, all reasons for socialism now. The secret societies are in control. You got one of those Freemason lodges in every downtown, every city. All kinds of other organizations. Back to this essay. Remember, these useful idiots, fanatics, are everywhere. They're international, omnipresent in the Western world. And these so-called liberals, progressives, socialists, leftists, Marxists, feminists, LGBT activists, and the so-called human rights activists, whichever subcategory they are in, they all serve the totalitarian elites, the secret societies, whether they realize it or not. They're all anti-freedom activists, good little anti-cultural foot soldiers for the globalists, the secret societies. They're the ones who helped create the chaos in the first place, this wave of chaos that's now destroying Europe one country at a time. And they're doing a good bit of damage to the USA. So many people supporting President Donald Trump's wall. Can you imagine? What if the states in the United States had walls? Walls between Georgia and South Carolina. Walls between North Carolina and Virginia. Walls between Texas and all the other states. What about countries? Walls between Mexico, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Brazil. Walls between them and Venezuela, Colombia. Imagine the insanity between Germany and Poland and Austria. Somebody's taking us backwards. But they need to destroy our world. They need chaos and anarchy. Even George Bush Sr. said that. Out of chaos and anarchy will come the New World Order. So these types are the ones helping the globalists demolish Europe by helping destabilize the countries they inhabit. They do this by adding energy to the various forms of pro-chaos agendas we see today, including the mass migration agenda. Some others have listed above. Those social political agendas that they support destroy their own countries by removing the culture and tradition from the equation and turning them upside down. And this is one of the things that got me to get active. I could see plainly, anybody can see it, that a lot of people, young people, back then, they're getting older now, virtually look like zombies or freaks. It's just too crazy. And I said, man, I can't even imagine, as it was progressing to get freakier and freakier and freakier, I said to myself, I got to get out of Orlando area and the big cities and get in the backwoods where I can find some normalcy, some fresh air, some clean food without the genetically modified foods or the herbicides and the pesticides and the fluorides in the water. But regrettably, in some instances, you can't escape it. And if you do go to the stores where you can get the healthier foods like Earth Fare and other so-called health food stores, you pay a lot more money. Luckily for me, I'm on well water, so I'm avoiding probably a lot of toxins, including the fluoride. And I don't eat out of boxes and cans anymore, and I've noticed my health condition is a lot better. I'm better off now than I was 10 years ago because I've been paying attention to this stuff. But they know what they're doing. They're weakening we the people. They have succeeded so far because they were not opposed soon enough. A lot of people were not awake, not paying attention to this, never suspected it. Nobody stopped them. The nationalist opposition groups didn't wake up fast enough to oppose them earlier in the whole process of national transformation and destruction. So, a lot of people didn't see what was really happening during 9/11. The elites, the secret societies, seems like they have complete control over our reality. It's precisely because of the useful idiots have gotten their way in other countries, Germany, Sweden, etc. So this has been happening for a while. Those countries started spiraling out of control. So the big question is, will people in Ireland wake up and start opposing these traitors and invaders and the globalists they are serving before it's too late? Squeaky wheels is next topic on this essay. There is a saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So all of these liberal types flowing out of universities nowadays, gushing out of these socialist indoctrination camps with all of these ideas about social revolution, are the squeaky wheel in the equation and when it comes to Western societies right now. So like I said, the elite control the universities and the cartoons and TV programming and media everywhere. They know what they're doing. They got the Facebooks and the Twitters and the internet. All these useful idiots are appearing as if out of nowhere. They are highly motivated, noisy. Some agendas groups are even backed or funded by the state. Remember, they control the Federal Reserve and the banking systems of all the countries. So they have unlimited money to supply these people with money. And maybe drugs and liquor and parties and so much more. They probably believe what they're doing is the right thing. But people are not paying attention to what is really happening and rationally thinking about it. Why do all those people have to be displaced from all those countries in the Middle East or Guatemala and other countries? Maybe some peoples have plans for those countries and they want to get rid of the people. And throwing them into the huge cities in the USA and Europe might be part of the disposal program, especially with the coming 5G wireless microwave transmitter monitoring everybody, facial recognition systems. I got a little clip I was watching today from Christopher Green. Check this out.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV, Alternative Media Television. Please take a moment to like and share this video. Make sure you click the bell to get our next video in your subscription feed. Today I reveal the #1 threat to humanity. And people are overlooking this. They're not aware of it. They don't even know what it is. In fact, this is our new Sputnik moment. This is a threat to the globe. It is what our top 4-star generals are calling the new Manhattan Project. And it's being sold to the American people as higher internet speeds. 5G is a military-grade weapon of not just the United States government, but also China. And China is winning the war. We see commercials on television, AT&T, Verizon. They tell us, hey, there's not as much latency. It's 10 times our current speeds. You'll be able to download video content, movies, and watch your Netflix a lot quicker. But what the public doesn't know is this is a military weapon designed to communicate with different factions of our government, kind of like how the internet was developed. This was when DARPA actually invented it. Our State Department, the DOD, invented it to communicate if there was a war scenario of which all communication went down. From the 1950s onward, we fought a Cold War with Russia. Americans, many of you baby boomers tuning in, were told that a nuclear strike could hit at any moment. Some of you, as children, were told to get under your desk in case Russia had attacked. This is the new Sputnik moment, of which the response that the United States gave at the time, in that point of history, was the development of NASA in a space race, which sent us straight to the moon. 5G is currently being dominated by the Chinese. There's a lot less regulation. Of course, someone argued that it's a totalitarian police state based on social credit scores and total control of their populations. And they are rolling this out at an absolute fierce rate. The United States is grossly behind. In fact, I just did an exclusive educational series on this. Click the link below. How to protect you and your family from an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and also geomagnetic disturbances like coronal mass ejections.
And nobody seems to care. Facial recognition systems, microwave transmitters everywhere, dumping chemicals in the sky, toxic foods, beverages, toxic environments. Nobody seems to really be waking up. I shouldn't say nobody. I think they say 85 or more people are oblivious to what's happening. So people who are buying this new age material, propaganda, says here they're very active and now regularly gaining experience and confidence at protesting and campaigning for whatever they want. They better be careful. If they get their global world order, they're not going to be happy. Meanwhile, the countless intelligent people in Ireland who have the rebel spirit in them and who know that this is all baloney are not at the same level of activity. Maybe some people expect all this to sort itself out on its own. Perhaps they think things will at least just automatically improve and that they will just go away entirely or just pass like a fad. Well, unfortunately, for those who don't want to take action here, being a rebel has been a part of being Irish for our entire history, and this generation is not going to be exempt from that. And I'm saying that here in the USA. If we the people don't wake up, we're not going to like the outcome. So these people in Ireland of sound minds and sound hearts need to stand up together and do something about this, because the country is run into the ground and all Irishness is lost forever. What's not destroyed by the cultural Marxist will be bred out of the population. So like I said, they're bringing in all kinds of people into the USA. Then they say we have a national debt that's way out of control. And of course, building a global world order costs a lot of money, fighting all these wars. Our government has to borrow that from the privately secret society controlled Federal Reserve. All that going on at our expense, meant to enslave and destroy us. So these people in Ireland of sound minds and sound hearts need to stand together and do something about this before the country is run into the ground. Instead of supporting the mass migration, we can express our humanitarianism in other more intelligent ways. Well, one thing we should do is, if we're going to have a war, let's go to the country that they're leaving and fix things there, instead of assisting the elites to get rid of their own peoples. So we need to fix the problem in ways that won't cause our own destruction as a people. After all, the genuine oppression that Ireland has had inflicted on it, after everything that the innocent have been through in this country, after all the struggles for Irish sovereignty and freedom, after all the outside influences and invaders now infected with foreign ideologies, sprouting concepts like diversity, multiculturalism, Ireland is being finished off by the brainwashed Irish people from within. And I know here in the United States, there's a new problem cropping up. Apparently, the Anti-Defamation League representing the world's Jewish people, are trying to coerce the government into passing legislation that people who wake up to this stuff can't say anything. And if we find out that the Zionists and the Israel and the secret societies are behind it, they want to pass legislation to make it a crime. I was watching Mrs. Omar interrogating one guy, and it tells a lot about a lot of the chaos and the destruction going on around the world, including Venezuela, which, if people don't know, Venezuela didn't do anything other than nationalize their resources and go against the globalists. So the banksters, like they did between World War I and World War II, are cutting off the money and supplies to Venezuela, starving those peoples. Well, anyways, this one lady, Mrs. Omar, she's in the news right now, and she's a Democrat, and the Democratic Party are not punishing her severely enough. So they're warning the Democratic Party that because of the anti-Semitism, they're going to suffer in their political position in the world, even warning Nancy Pelosi. But watch these two videos and see just how deep this goes, that we can't talk about who's really doing it and why.
So inshallah, today we're going to look at a study case. We're going to look at the power of the Jewish lobby. And for that matter, it could be any lobby, really. But we're going to talk about how we have come to the end of democracy, and we're going to talk about how we're going to look at a study case of Umar Ilhan, the representative of the Congress. She's a hijabi. She's a practicing Muslim. And so she did some interesting things. We're going to look at them and look at where she is today because she stood up for the truth, which shows you that, you know, democracy is not really a real democracy. You have a two-party dictatorship. And in this two-party dictatorship, they basically have the elites of both the parties have the same agendas. And so let me just start by how she actually became semi-popular by an interrogation she did of a war criminal in the U.S. In the U.S. Institutions in the Congress.
Information from Congress regarding your involvement in the Iran-Contra affair.
Fearless hijabi, justice.
I fail to understand why members of this committee should find any testimony that you give to be truthful. Oh, damn. That wasn't a question. That was not a question. That was not. I reserve the right for my time. That was not a question. On February 8th, that was not a question. Thank you for your participation. 1982, you testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee about U.S. policy in El Salvador. You dismissed as communist propaganda report about the massacre of El Mozote, 800 civilians, including children as young as 2 years old, were brutally murdered by U.S. trained troops. Some of those troops bragged about raping a 12-year-old girl before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Do you still think so?
Still talking about putting Guatemalan and U.S. troops on trial. I think someone like Mr. Abrams would be a subject for such an approach that I'll agree. But I agree with Mr. Abrams that that fact would be done.
Yes or no? Do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is ridiculous.
Yes or no?
No.
I will take that yes. Would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that
Now you know what's happening in Venezuela, right? So she's asking about that.
Genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interests as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua? Under your watch, a genocide will take place, and you will look the other way because American interests will be upheld. Is it a fair question?
So you guys get the point, right? So here's a sister. She wears hijab. She's trying to stand up for the truth. So one of the truths she spoke up against. You know, you can ask a war criminal in the U.S. Congress, are you a war criminal? It's okay. But you better dare not. It is the taboo. It is the holy cow. You better not ask anything to do with Israel. You cannot question Israel.
So as you can see, a lot of our leaders are involved in all of this destruction all over the world. Even that one group called Blackwater, who were caught in some dastardly deeds and changed their name. But apparently, after President Donald Trump said he's removing the troops from Syria, Israel says they're going to increase the attacks on Syria. And Blackwater came out in the newspaper and said, "We're back." So these private corporations and these secret societies, these elites, and the intentional destruction of Christianity all seems to be looming in this world as a huge attack on we the people. And it's not going to turn out too good, not just in Ireland or in Germany and the pain and suffering in Switzerland and all those countries in the Middle East and Venezuela and the Ukraine and Egypt. It probably is going to get a lot worse. They didn't prepare for all this just to let it go. So anyways, I got one more video by Mrs. Omar here.
John Bresnahan is Politico's Capitol Hill bureau chief. He's tracking the fallout. Thanks for...
So you see, now she's under fire because she basically said, hey, this Israeli lobby is buying out Congress people. And I'm going to show you how that partly is done, and even how intellectuals like Thomas Friedman talk about how it's done. Okay?
For joining us. Thanks for having me on. So let's begin with what led to the accusations from Congressman McCarthy of anti-Semitism. And now we've got on the record Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York. He's appearing to agree. I want to show what he tweeted just a short time ago. He said this: "It is, quote, deeply disturbing and disappointing to hear Representative Ilhan Omar's choice of words in her exchange with a journalist yesterday, wherein she appears to traffic in old anti-Semitic tropes about you."
Again, this is the, you criticize anything to do with Jews, they'll say you're an anti-Semitic. The Jewish people need to be very careful about this. There is legitimate criticism and there is anti-Semitism, right? And so we don't say every time any Muslim country like Saudi Arabia or Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan is criticized, they tell us, oh, we're not being anti-Muslim, we're not being anti-Islam. But yet, you say anything that has to do with Israel, Israel has the right to say you're being anti-Israel and you're being anti-Semitic. Like, this type of double standard, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
So as you can see, I stay busy watching videos, so checking out websites, reading books. I got some more books in the mail. Spy Government, The Emerging Police State in America, Omar Garrison. Spies for Hire, The Secret World of Intelligent Outsourcing. Think about these things. The corporations taking over, and it's not responsibility of our leaders in the country anymore. They're turning it all over to corporations and outsourcing. A Government of Wolves, The Emerging American Police State, John Whitehead. This was a scary book I've been reading. Red Mafia, How the Russian Mob Has Invaded America, Robert Friedman. Russian Jews. They make the worst mafia ever. They would shoot a person just to make sure they had guns in the bullet or the gun worked. These people are evil. getting the truth out is very dangerous. A lot of people have already been eliminated one way or another. So there's another essay in this website, resolvingreality.com. The president of France. So let me just read some of this and see if it makes sense after all the things I talked about. Emmanuel Macron addresses world leaders on Armistice Day in Paris. 60 world leaders attended Armistice Day Centennial event on Sunday, 11 November, which took place at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I guess that's some kind of popular place. Present were Angela Merkel, the president of Germany, Justin Trudeau, Canada, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and the Irish Premier Leo Varadkar, to name a few. So they're having a meeting. This event marked 100 years since the armistice signed by the Allies in Germany that brought World War I to an end. Why did they have to have World War II? And it seems like they have to have World War III to finish off this pursuit of a global world order. And they're using our own people against us to promote this globalist, liberal, progressive agenda. I kind of agree with most of what's in this website, this first page, or this essay page. French President Emmanuel Macron gave a speech at this event, the content of which was not surprising at all considering the current climate of geopolitics. It was full of globalist ideology, virtual signaling, pro-EU, pro-multicultural sentiment. He even managed to squeeze in some climate change propaganda too. All these things sound lovely to the uninformed, of course, and make him sound nice. Macron said that nationalism is the exact opposite of patriotism. So they don't want you to be patriotic in your country. That utterly was the answer to peace. That unity was the answer to peace. He added, nationalism is a betrayal of patriotism by saying, our interest first, who cares about the others? This is a phrase intended to emotionally manipulate those with a nationalistic attitude towards the issue of mass migration into Europe, something which is showing quite clearly that the EU experiment hasn't worked. It implies that nationalists have no humanity, no compassion, in short, that they are bad people, typical globalist left-wing propaganda. Why don't we just call it what it is? Communist, Marxist propaganda. Intentional depression during the wars. I made a note here. They talk like this and they preach this stuff, but these people caused a worldwide depression between World War I and World War II. Because, as I keep saying, Britain reneged on its agreement to help the Zionist Jews obtain the Palestinians' land. So the world was punished. And after 2,000 years of suffering, do you suppose the Zionist Jewish folks and other secret societies into some mystery religion have plans for revenge? Look what they did in Russia in 1917 after World War I. But they killed almost 100 million Christians and other good people to get revenge after 200 years of persecution in that country. Look what they did to Germany as punishment and revenge, etc. The Middle East. You don't think it's going to happen? You don't think they blame all white people or all non-Jewish people? He also said that peace attempts were made after World War I by the world leaders involved at the time, who dreamt of solutions that would ensure such wars would never happen again. He said that they tried to build peace by dreaming of international cooperation, the dismantling of empires, and the redefining of borders, and they had the League of Nations back then. They also dreamt of a union, a political union of Europe, which is kind of like an empire, ironically, isn't it? So they wanted to destroy the countries of Europe, claiming they wanted to dismantle the empires, but then they want to have a huge empire and control it all, which is in line with biblical prophecy and an antichrist, and part of the prediction for World War III. They also dreamt of a union, a political union. So what irony that is. He went on to say that despite this, the humanitarian and spirit of vengeance for Germany only nourished nationalism and totalitarianism, and war came again 20 years later, destroying the path to peace. Well, I have to tell you, between World War I and World War II, at some point, Britain gave Germany a blank check to rearm and reindustrialize. The United States apparently gave Russia, which had been taken over by the Bolshevik Jews, and they were killing 100 million Christians and other good people. America gave Russia a blank check to build up their militarily and industrialize. So the elite secret societies that control our world, behind the scenes, built up Germany, built up Russia, were building themselves up. So I noticed that the president of France didn't mention all that, but I've gone over it in different book reviews. So anyways, he failed to mention that the actors of the Allies after the war had ended, the treaties of Versailles and the Saint-Germain had done plenty to lay the foundations for that vengeance to erupt via the rise of National Socialism in Germany in the decades that followed. So after World War I, there was some serious harsh treatment on Germany. So of course the people would be nationalistic and united. But why was Britain financing the growth? Why was the United States financing the growth of Russia when Russia was in the business of killing 100 million people and destroying all the Christian churches, but not the Jewish people, the Jewish temple? It was the Bolshevik Jewish people who were part of the invasion of Russia to abduct the Tsar, the leader, and assassinate him and his family. The Treaty of Versailles effectively slapped Germany with a bill for the war in the form of war reparations, which Germany didn't finish paying until 3 October 2010. The hypocrisy of the British and the French elitist scum involved is almost unimaginable, as their countries never had to pay reparations for the many imperialistic genocides and innumerable crimes against humanity that they had committed all over the world for centuries. How many wars has the United States of America been involved in with NATO and Europe and France, bombing all those countries in the Middle East? Of course, President Macron of France, being a good little globalist foot soldier, tried to connect the causes of World War I with nationalism. But for anyone who knows the truth about the cause of World War I, and indeed what prolonged the war at a crucial point in 1916, when the Allies were defeated before the U.S. entered the war. It was the imperialism of Britain and France, in addition to Zionism, that's on this page here, that were far more culpable than the nationalism of any central power involved. What caused the war was the fear in the British and French establishments, which developed in the later part of the 19th century, that Germany was becoming too powerful. So I've said this before. The crime of Germany is they were hard workers. industrial people, good people. And that really annoyed the Jews living in Germany, because some of the things they were doing, you know, grasping and owning and occupying everything and taking over finance and basically separating themselves from all of the other people and taking over more properties and banking systems and industries and everything else. A lot of people were speaking out. Those darn Germans shouldn't be complaining. And then, of course, Britain and France were jealous of Germany's rising industrialism and growth, so they had to be destroyed. And of course, the secret societies and elitists used all that for their own gain to obtain the Palestinians' land to build the state of Israel. Being so close to France, especially, something had to be done to eliminate the new economic and potentially imperial rival. It wasn't long before, in historical terms, that the small regions within Germany had consolidated into one entity thanks to Otto von Bismarck. So the countries around Germany were joining Germany as a German union. And of course that just totally scared, freaked out France and Britain. Their empires controlling China and India and other parts of the world, Canada and America and everything else, you know, they were worried about losing their power. The natural talents of Germans for efficiency and technological ingenuity did the rest, and it became the economic opposition that Britain and France feared. So if you've been watching my series Freemasonry and Satanism, you know that I read a lot of books and I made a lot of videos, and I needed to take it to an extreme so I could understand what the truth was. And so when I read this particular website in this essay, in the second one here, I could tell that a lot of it was right on, spot on. To understand the Zionist impact, which caused the war to be extended for a further 2 years until 1918, we need to be aware of the Balfour Declaration. So it's common knowledge to a lot of people. Britain was losing World War I. The Jews approached Mr. Lord Balfour in Britain and said, wait a minute, don't surrender. And Germany offered them really good terms. Let's just let bygones be bygones and forget it. Germany was not the aggressor. But the Jews went to Britain and to Lord Balfour and others and said, hey, you don't have to lose this war. You can win this war. We got President Woodrow Wilson in the U.S. We control him. We've just taken over the USA money supply, creating the Federal Reserve. And you'll win the war. And so they had planes and they were dropping leaflets all over Germany and everywhere else, telling the Jews there that if they would support Britain, that they would get the Palestinian people's lands and fulfill a dream that they've had for thousands of years. A lot of people don't know the exact truth went on here, but this guy seems to have most of it right, and it takes a while to do this research and figure it out. This was a deal made between Lord Balfour and Lord Walter Rothschilds, representing the International Zionist Federation. So the bankster people who controlled the USA money supply at the time, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Illuminati members, were behind the Zionist movement, supporting it. And the UK's Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, in a recent book review I did, was part of the secret society and groups bent on world global order, and largely with Britain at the head of that global order, one of the heads. So which promised a homeland to the Jewish people in Palestine, then controlled by the British Crown. In return for this gift, the Zionists would conspire using their political power in the U.S. to bring the U.S. military into the war to turn the tide in favor of the Allies. This is exactly what happened, though Israel did not materialize until 1948. Hence they had to have World War II to bring that about. And the League of Nations was not under their control and would not do what they wanted, so it was dismantled, and they gave us now the United Nations. And apparently they control that, even putting the archways of Baal, the demon, in New York and London, this little archway. and later on to UNESCO, Education and Science Department of the UN. They were putting up 1,000 of these archways. So you know it's part of the synagogue of Satan, putting archways to the devil, Baal, B-A-A-L. Look it up. Watch my previous videos. The role of the Zionists in creating World War II stems from the fact that they didn't get what they wanted post-World War I. That's what I said. A homeland for the Jewish people. That's what all this is about. And they've got that now. And they're taking the next step. And they need to dilute our cultures. They need to bring in all these people that they're deposing from all those places, the ones they don't kill. But they want to eliminate our culture, our society, our family values, Christianity, and everything else. They think if they dilute us, we'll be less intelligent and more manageable. They were instruments in, amongst other things, the fomenting the conflict between Hitler's National Socialist regime and the rest of the world by initiating a worldwide Jewish economic boycott of Germany in 1933. There are many more details beyond the scope of this article. And as you know, I have many videos in the Freemasonry and Satanism series. And it seems you can tie a lot of this together. So here I am doing my research, watching videos, and then I find this website. The speaker was recommending it, resolvingreality.com. United Against Racism, United Against Fascism, anti-globalists versus the nationalist groups, to the pro-globalist anti-Irish robots on the other. Just got a few more minutes here. So President Macron of France, trying to use World War I commemoration event to push globalist, anti-nationalist ideas, is not only typical of these elites, these politicians controlled, but it's ridiculous when we look at what caused the Great War and World War II to happen. So they're blaming the opposition when they are the culprits, and the financiers behind the scenes had their own agenda. They were using them, so they were using each other. The banksters and Zionist, Illuminati secret societies with these elite leaders of Britain and France, they were using each other to pretty much attack the rest of us. The German peoples, the Irish people, the American people, even the British citizens and French citizens didn't know what their leaders were up to. Secret societies. Focusing on the present and what may have come in the future, focusing on the present and what may come in the future, do we have more wars ahead of us? Will the leaders present at that event soon to be involved in creating yet another horrible global conflict? And I might point out, prior to the 1600s and 1700s, they did not have control of Britain or France. They were exiled from the Jewish people from France by Philip Augustus in 1182, around 1200. They were exiled from Britain by King Edward in 1290, 1300. So in 1200 and 1300, 700 years ago, the Jews were banished from France and Britain. And in 1500, they were banned from Spain. So anyways, how did they get back in Britain and back in France and get the control they have? Apparently, King Charles was executed in 1649, and King Louis in France in 1793. So 1650 and almost 1800. So this is kind of current events, the last 200 or 300 years, that they got back control. They took control of Europe with their money and having kings executed. And in the United States, of course, Abraham Lincoln and President John Kennedy and others. And now they have all the advanced technologies, and they've been using the Kabbalah and the occult against us all along, so it seems. And they have the people deceived. Another horrible world conflict. President Macron of France spoke about peace a lot in his speech. This is almost amusing coming from a man who, in the interview with Fayed Zakari on the GPS program on CNN, spoke about military spending, saying he supports the idea of Europe becoming a sovereign military entity who spends its money on European arms manufacturers instead of the U.S. companies. So even France and Britain and other countries would like to see the United States neutered, destroyed, weakened. He announced he would be increasing spending in defense in order to help achieve this, insisting that this was nothing against the U.S. It should be noted that this is as much about big business, and of course the global world order, and the usual cozy relationship that top politicians have with the military-industrial complex, as it is about anything else, or distorted notions of loyalty to the European Union. France is in the world top 5 arms exporter. So much for peace there, huh? Macron's opinions also show a link between the EU member states and the creation of a European army. I wonder if the United States will be fighting the European army. Will the European army come and destroy the United States? In cahoots, maybe them and Russia will sign an agreement. Even though President Macron of France said that a European army would allow Europe to protect itself from attack from other entities, including Russia, China, and even the U.S., says it here. I would never trust any politician who speaks about armament for any sort of defensive purposes. History shows that lies such as defense are used to encourage the support of armament for offensive purposes. The agenda of the European military force that Macron is pushing could include the using PESCO to join NATO in a war against Russia or its allies in the Middle East, and even a war against China. So who's behind all this? Secret societies? Elitist Jewish people who want revenge for 2,000-year persecution? Indeed, this was a speech, and these are just words. But what we need to pay attention to is the language included in it, how it is used to promote certain concept, i.e. globalism, and how it tries to invoke an emotional response with humanitarianism in order to ensure the concepts are associated with goodness in the minds of the audience. Politicians' speeches are often a reflection of the times. With the rise of PC culture and virtual signaling, it is not surprising that current politicians often say nice things in their speeches and come across as being moral people. So apparently, we the people, the citizens of the world, are naive. We don't want to see what's really happening. We watch others die all over the Middle East, suffering in Central America, South American countries, Asia. We don't think it's going to come back to hurt us. But you can be sure, if people don't step up and stop this and say something and do something, it will come back to bite us. And I think World War III or a nuclear holocaust or all these other predictions is something that nobody really wants. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance won't help us to survive. We need to talk to people, share these videos, other people's websites. There's many of them on the internet, people trying to get the word out. There's even websites there, The Joy of Satan, if you want to go that way, which I don't suggest. You want to join the Luciferians, the Satanists, and the globalists, and the elitist, and believe in their promises? like signing a deal with the devil, your soul. If you've been watching movies, you know how that works out. Thank you for watching my video, Rick Merico reporting.